Mike and I just wanted to give you, apparently several of you all wanted to talk, so we wanted to give you a quick update on some further news. Mike Sprayberry, Pat McCrory, Governor of North Carolina. Just a couple of updates since we talked this morning. We have shut down 3 state parks on the coast, mainly Fort Fisher State Park. Our storm surge is about 1 to 3 feet around the Hatteras area. We're a little concerned about the Cape Fear, northeast Cape Fear in Pender County, and also the Lumberton River in Robinson County. And we now have over 30 schools that are probably going to close early. Other than that, I think we're getting very positive news on the weather. It seems to be moving very quickly. Mike's been in touch with his peer in Georgia, and it looks very positive regarding what's happened in Georgia. Although they've had some power outages, but regarding long-term damage, it's looking pretty positive. I just got off the phone with Governor Rick Scott just a few minutes ago and had a very positive conversation with Rick. Of course, his biggest issue right now is getting power restored. We both offered to help each other. I said, do you need anything in Florida from us? And he says, no, I think things are pretty good. And he offered the same assistance to us if for some reason this storm stagnates in North Carolina, which we don't anticipate. Based upon the current weather forecast. That's my major concern. We want this thing to move out of North Carolina as quick as possible, especially the eastern part of the state inland, where we've had, of course, in previous decades, some real stalling of major flooding in eastern North Carolina. So I think in the Kinston, Greenville area would probably be their major concern about any potential stalling, but based upon the weather forecast, we think it's moving out pretty quickly. We still have our emergency rescue swift boat teams ready if needed. The utilities are ready in case of major power outages. So we've got everything deployed, we think, in the right way, especially in eastern North Carolina toward the Hatteras, Kinston, Greenville, southeastern North Carolina. Even that area, I think, will clear up pretty shortly. That's our goal, and we just hope that, again, we are over-prepared and underwhelmed. That would be very good news for us. Do you have anything else to add, Mike?
No, sir. I think you hit it all. We do have some other resources that are available to deploy downrange if needed, but, of course, we don't self-deploy. We wait and see if the counties need those resources before we send it to them.
I think we also have one shelter open in Pitt County at this point in time. We're prepared to be opened if people need, if there's any flooding in Pitt County, where they've had a lot of experience in the past, so it's good the counties are being prepared just in case. So with that, we'd be glad to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Have you seen any kind of low-level flooding at this point in southeastern North Carolina?
Not at this point, no, sir.
No.
Well, I mean, maybe the follow-on then is how close do you think we are to that? Is there any way to tell when people should, expect?
So what's going to happen is, it's been raining, and we're going to see heavier rain throughout the night, and about anywhere from between 4 and 8 inches. And so I can tell you that I've personally been down to like Pender County and Brunswick County, and it doesn't take a whole lot of rain to flood out 17 portions of it. Y'all know that. And so, but we have some really good local emergency managers down there. For instance, Pender County's got 3 big 5-ton trucks to move people through flooded roadways and things like that. So, but there's a distinct possibility. We have flood gauges, and we're currently watching those, and we think that, like the boss said, northeast Cape Fear River, probably around Burgaw, Tar River, probably around Greenville area, and a couple other places like Canita, where we're watching the gauges, and we could see minor to moderate flooding, and maybe not even tonight or even tomorrow, but later on throughout the week as the the water goes up. And so we'll be carefully monitoring all the gauges and listening, especially to our county partners. So pretty tough to say, okay, this is exactly when you're going to get it, although we can run models to help us do that. But right now, without the advantage of having some of the rainfall, it's pretty difficult to get the total specifics. But like I said, so far we're looking at Burgaw, Greenville area maybe, and those rivers, and so that's where we're at.
Yeah, Les.
Any conversation or updates with the airlines or the FAA regarding folks traveling over the weekend?
I don't think we've had any notice whatsoever from the airlines, because the major hubs would be in Charlotte and Raleigh, and have you had any kind?
You know, we could probably check in with Wilmington, and we can do that and get back with you, Laura. And so, but I have not heard anybody talking about cancellation flights out of RDU or Charlotte.
In fact, if anything, probably the biggest danger would be flights canceled in the Northeast. If it stalls there, maybe having an impact on North Carolina down the road based upon our past experience.
And one more question. What's the impact been on the Outer Banks? We've heard about some folks evacuating.
Ocracoke was evacuated. The ferries did a great job yesterday. Most of the evacuation occurred yesterday. I think, I don't have the exact numbers, but I heard around 400 to 500 cars were evacuated from Ocracoke Island, mainly tourism. People who were visitors. In fact, they were ordered to evacuate,
Right, mandatory.
mandatory evacuation. The leadership there just has done a great job, so I think everything's pretty well set. But Ocracoke was the main area.
Ocracoke, and you know, that's primarily, it's because of the ferries. I mean, that's the way
Yeah.
to get to it. So they were being taking the right precautions to get the visitors off. And
our ferry operations right now, DOT is looking at the potential safety of the ferries. So we've encouraged everyone to look at the ferry schedules to see if we have to shut down any ferry operations during the next 10 or so hours.
For the folks who are headed for the coast this weekend, waiting for this to all go, do we know when the mandatory evacuations on Ocracoke or et cetera might be lifted, when they can plan to be able to get to those destinations?
I think it's up to them.
So
but
they've already got their reentry procedures in place too. So their board will make that decision, their planning group, and that hasn't been made yet, so they'll let everybody know. But as far as the rest of the Outer Banks, we have not seen any issues with the Currituck or Dare. And so they're watching, of course, and they're prepared to respond as necessary, but there's been no evacuation.
we're not getting reports on flooding on, Highway 16, is it?
12?
12, I'm sorry, Highway 12, and we aren't getting that at this point in time. We'll find out in the next 10 or so hours. That's going to be the major issue.
And keeping in mind that, the tropical storm force winds that we're expecting are on the low end. And we know that places like Dare and Hyde and Currituck, they see a lot of nor'easters, and they're kind of used to this kind of stuff. And so it's a fast-moving storm. Again, the boss just said that, it's already moving out of Georgia, and next one up is South Carolina. And Georgia will be closing down their State Emergency Operations Center around 7 o'clock tonight.
Which is a very positive sign, but again, the danger is if this thing stalls anywhere. From most forecasts I'm seeing, if it stalls, it'd most likely impact more of the Northeast than this area. So we'd offer assistance to those Virginia or other states further north.
You mentioned 30 schools dismissing early. To clarify, is that 30 individual schools or districts?
That may be school systems. I'll get back with you on that. I didn't get that clarity. I think there was a mistake on one of the reports here locally. Someone had put up Wake County, but apparently that's not true.
That was not
true. We were kind of
incorrect, and I
surprised
think
to hear
that got corrected. It came out of the media. But basically what counties do when they report that they're closing their schools down, they just say the schools are closing down for that county at 11:45 or 3 hours early, and
Right.
they don't really give you, it's hard to sometimes get granularity on whether they're talking about school systems or numbers of schools.
Let me ask real quick. Do we know if that was school systems or schools? Huh?
32 counties.
32 counties.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the systems. We assume that.
I think you had an update on Wilmington too. We should get it to.
Yeah, we can find out.
Wilmington Airport has had some delays, and Laura, I'll send you that.
Wilmington has?
Wilmington has had some delays and cancellations, and I can send you a link with more details.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Can you give us a sense for just what the EOC looks like right now, who's here, kind of whether it's at full operations right now, just kind of give us a sense for when you're ramping up, if you're already at full staff here.
Yes, sir. And so we're at a level 3 activation, which means that we have emergency management personnel and selected state emergency response team partners from state government and volunteers and our federal partners. So of our federal partners, we have the Department of Homeland Security. We also have FEMA here as a liaison. For our state agency partners, we have the North Carolina National Guard, we have DOT, we have the Office of Emergency Medical Services, we have Department of Agriculture, the State Energy Office, we have Duke Energy here, we have, let me think here, if I miss somebody, they're going to get irritated with me. So, American Red Cross. So we have what you might expect for this type of event in here. State Highway Patrol is in here. Those guys would have got me for sure. And so, but anyway, we are activated and with all of our staff and those folks so that we can provide the type of response that we can. We currently have two. We currently have two swiftwater rescue teams that are Type 2 teams that are one based in Kinston, one based in New Bern. They're from Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and from Buncombe counties.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
How many people are on each of those, sir? Like just
14
size
apiece.
of-
There's a team. There's a manager and two team leaders. And the great thing about it, there's two boats in each team, so you can actually split the team up into half, and then they can go, wherever they need to go to be effective. And there's also a good communications package with it as well.
I know for a fact the Mecklenburg one's excellent.
And you mentioned stage 3 for some context. Is that like DEF CON? What are the stages?
So, right, activation level 5 is our daily operation, okay? So we're at a 3. And so when we have a level 2, that means that we're going to have not just selected state emergency response team partners, but pretty much all of our partners. And then on a level 1, that means we have a heavy federal presence in here. With a couple of folks from the feds, that's really not a level 1, so that's why we call it a level 3.
I'm very proud. We've got, I think, the best emergency operations director in the country. In fact, he's known nationally in this area. And it's probably one of the best decisions this administration ever made was getting this guy to be director, because we've had some major storms during the past 3.5 years, and it's been seamless, and it's a team effort. It's no doubt a team effort. He just leads the team, and very proud of him and his team.
Thank you, sir.
I know earlier we were saying that the highest winds were going to be overnight, kind of 10 to 2 or so. Are we still thinking that's the case, and are we concerned about power outages overnight? I'm just thinking about, with all the rain that's
Right.
already fallen and more of it on the way.
So we are concerned with that, and we're actually anticipating the winds to come a little bit sooner than what we thought. So the winds will be arriving, this afternoon, late this afternoon. But again, we're looking at winds that are on the lower end of the tropical storm force winds, and tropical storm force winds are defined as 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour. And so the winds that we're expecting sustained are around, 30 to 40 miles per hour. And not saying that couldn't be an issue, because it most likely will, because they're going to be gusts. Like you just said, Laura, is that there's going to be, we're going to have some saturated ground already, but it, won't be anything, thankfully, like a Fran or something like that. But we do anticipate power outages. And interestingly enough, I looked at a power outage report recently, and most of the power outages in the state right now are in the western part of the state. And so, but it's just sort of a daily thing. You never know when it's going to happen and where it's going to happen. So, as we've mentioned, as I think the governor mentioned, Duke Energy and the co-ops are well prepared. They're staged. Duke is staged today to surge into the impacted area tomorrow to quickly restore power, and the co-ops will be staged as well.
And Rick Scott said that's one of the major issues right now in Florida. Of course, they got the brunt of the storm. And I think Tallahassee is his major issue right now with the trees in Tallahassee. So I think Duke's dealing with that too, and some co-ops in the Florida area. Kind of ironic. One more question or anything else? I'd like to thank the media for their partnership in this effort. We just want to make sure the information that we get out to everyone is accurate and to the point, and we want to encourage everyone to continue to be safe, especially with the flooding. Water can kill, and we want to make sure everyone's extremely careful. And don't take this, even though we've gotten better news, don't take this for granted. It could change at a moment's notice.
I would just say that you keep emphasizing to me about getting the message out there. If you don't have to travel tonight, please don't. Use common sense, because I can tell you that there's going to be, in eastern North Carolina, there's going to be heavy rain. There's going to be some winds, and it's, if you can put off your travel plans, please do. I mean, the governor keeps telling that to me, to get that message out, and so I think it's good guidance.
Well, what we don't want is put our emergency people in danger to rescue someone who's done something foolish. If they don't need to do it, just don't do it. But hopefully within the next 24 hours, we'll have very little damage, and the main thing is no one hurt or no fatalities. That's our goal.
Can we get a sense for whether you expect to have another one of these, either informal or formal press conferences today, tonight?
I don't anticipate it. I'll make sure that Mike sends out any further changes or updates
We'll
as
see you again
he'll do.
tomorrow morning, maybe.
Huh?
We'll see you again tomorrow morning, it sounds like.
It depends how serious this is. If it's at the track right now, again, we hope there aren't any serious issues to have to report. If there are, we'll be here. If not, Mike will keep you updated. We've got the best to do that. So we're hoping this, and looking at Georgia, looking at the report we just got from Georgia regarding their closing their operations center, that was positive news. But again, we don't want to take it for granted. We had a storm earlier this year that stalled right in South Carolina, and Nikki Haley got the surprise instead of Governor McCrory. So we don't want to take anything for granted. That's happened before, and Nikki needed our help, and at a moment's notice, we might need someone's help if this stalls, but we do not anticipate that based upon the reports we're getting.
Roger that, sir.
But we may help others, and we'll definitely do it if need be further up north the coast. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.